So today I'm going to ask you lots of questions. I don't know where we're going to go. We might get personal, might get emotional, might be funny. I'm sure all of the above. But before I dive into the first question, I have the most important question of the day. And I really mean this, and I hope you answer very honestly and open-heartedly. How the bloody hell are you, Fish?
How the bloody hell am I?
How the bloody hell are you?
I'm bloody all right, thanks, Ant.
You good?
I'm surviving. I like to thrive, and I am surviving. I'm in survival mode still after retirement, I think.
And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And we are joined by the wonderful, the magnificent, strong, powerful Katie Traxton.
We didn't say that about Heather.
Actually, you didn't.
So I'm coming on to Heather. We've got an hour of Heather. We've got an hour of Fish. We've got an hour. You're getting your free little 20 seconds now.
Give the people what they want, Ant. Come on.
For those that don't know, Katie Traxton is the supremo, the boss of Good Vibes Only Talent that me and Fish are both signed to. My agent, my lovely agent, so wonderful, so nice. And I wanted to have you on the podcast today, Katie, because one, you're also a very inspiring person yourself. You've got a great story, although the emphasis is truly on Fish today. And I just thought you on the podcast can really help me out, kind of getting into that amazing mind of the young woman to our right.
I get it. Amazing story, but second to Heather. So I've got the run-up prize of helping ask her questions.
But listen though, the run-up prize to Heather Fisher, that's not... Most athletes would happily take second place to her.
Yeah, and if I'd come first, she'd have wiped me out, so...
Going, you've done so much in your life, right? Like, we were at an event last week and you bossed it, you presented the whole thing, you were unbelievable. What's next for you? What's next for you? What's success to you? Are you happy? Where are you at in your life right now?
What's next? Ask Katie.
She's giving other people colds at the moment.
Releasing
Go
my
around
germs.
spreading germs.
What's next? Do you know what? I would love to go into breakfast presenting.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's the first time I've said it actually. So maybe
Wow.
actually on here, on something. Yeah, I want to wake people up. I've always wanted to wake people up. But I always said on radio. I think when I met Katie, I think one of them was radio. But
Is that because of your appearance?
Yes,
Yeah?
yeah.
So you're more comfortable now with the way you look?
Yeah. I think I could hide in sport. I knew how to hide in sport, and I knew that the pitch was safe and I felt protected. Going on a plane with Tui and normal average people, I would cover up and hide. Now I'm actually starting to own it, and I can actually walk around the street. And I don't get me wrong, I have my bad days. I have a lot of bad moments. What does a bad moment and bad day look like? The bad moment, Katie was actually with me for one of them. I walked into a toilet and 3 women, 2 guys.
Do you want me to tell the story?
You tell the story.
It's really hard, isn't it?
This is probably my heart.
It's really fascinating actually to observe human beings sometimes, and it'll be interesting to see your reaction as you hear it, Ant. So we were at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and we'd just been to see Gail Porter, who has alopecia, and had spoken about it, and had spoken about her challenges, which are slightly different to Heather's, right? Heather tends to get misgendered. Gail, people think she's got cancer. They can't come up with any other reason why a woman wouldn't have hair. And Heather went into the bathroom with her mum, and one of the women who'd just been in the talk, who was a Gail Porter fan, decided to basically say that Heather shouldn't be in the bathroom because obviously since she's bald, she's a man. Now, I would have thought your average person, if someone then turns around and says, no, I'm a woman, and especially if they obviously sound as you might expect a woman to sound, etc., but regardless, would say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. But no, human pride and ego basically means that there's a lot of people out there who double down on it because they can't bear the concept of having been wrong, I guess. Maybe they're embarrassed. Maybe they just have this enormous self-assurance. So when Heather said, no, I'm a woman, what she heard, and obviously she has transphobia issues as well, was I'm trans, but trans women are women. So she then gets into a further debate of basically you shouldn't exist, this is disgusting, etc. Heather runs into the bathroom. The woman ends up coming outside. And Heather's mum tells me what's happened. So I go up to the woman who's now queuing for an autograph with Gail Porter.
You put a headbutt on it, did you?
And I say, that was my B plan. So I say to her, oh, hi, I'm the agent of Heather Fisher, obviously a female name, right? Rugby World Cup winner and Olympic athlete. And obviously the star chaser goes, oh yeah. And I went, I heard that you just told her that she shouldn't be in the bathroom because she's a guy and it's the women's bathroom. And the woman looks at me, having said in the bathroom she was going to go and get her husband, a man, to get Heather, who's not a man, out of the bathroom. And she goes, no, must have been someone else. Yeah. So Heather's mom comes over, like to me, like a moment out of Harry Potter, right? With Mrs. Weasley. And she goes, well, I was there and that was my daughter actually, and that did happen. So the woman says to me, all I wanted was Gail Porter's autograph and a selfie.
Like you've ruined it.
Like I've ruined it. So I said, right, well, I think you should go and apologise to Heather. And she looks at me and she goes, fine, I won't have my selfie. Walks away past Heather and says, you've ruined my night, and goes out.
Wow.
I think
how can people interact in this way?
Wow.
I think what was hard is that when you have alopecia, you're always having to explain myself to a lot of people, like all the time, like daily, weekly. It's part of the norm, right?
And how do you, and so before we move on, how do you feel having to explain yourself?
I shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to.
I get really angry. I get really angry. I get frustrated.
Yeah.
On a day that I don't feel great, or I feel like, maybe something else has happened. I feel really down. I'll probably wear a hood or wear a hat. You asked me the other day about why I wear hats all the time. Sometimes I just don't want to explain myself, right? Some days you don't want to explain yourself, but when you just come out of a Gail Porter show, I owned it. And it wasn't just the woman. It was like her husband came in as well, right? So there's 3 or 4 of them. I owned it and was like, no, I'm female, it's okay. And it wasn't enough. And it wasn't enough. And it wasn't enough. And then I thought, I'm standing there in the toilet having this argument about whether I should or shouldn't be here. And you're just rude. You're just being rude now. That was the first time I'd put myself in the toilet and just cried. Didn't want to come out. You feel so embarrassed and you feel so ashamed because you're like, wow, like I'm just a human being and I'm a woman. I've got muscles. I've got no hair. And if you can't understand that, I know it's your problem, but it still has an effect on me. And that's what I find hard, because I shouldn't have to be brave every day. Like you said about your body and the way you've done it and been there and done it, got the t-shirt. I've been brave. I don't need to be brave anymore. Yeah. And I'm at the stage where after my career in sport and playing for England, I don't need to be brave. I don't need to explain myself. I will be who I want to be, but don't be telling me who I am and who I'm not. And that's where I find it really difficult.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Heather did a TV show called Body Fixers, right? And I kind of said recently, do you not think the concept of that TV show is quite bad, because they're suggesting that you need to fix something about there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. Like, you can have a choice. It's completely Heather's choice if she wants to not wear a wig, have a hat, like whatever you want to do. But it's not that there's something wrong with you and then you go on the show and we fix you by giving you artificial hair. And I think this is one of the challenges, right, of even when we are accepting in society, we're often accepting that we'll include you even though there's something wrong with you or you don't conform to this or that. That's not actually inclusivity.
No. Even though that's inclusivity, quotation marks, with an asterisk beside it.
Yeah.
But you might feel that, in like your walk of life where you've come from, like it's like we all try and tick boxes. I want a female to listen to this or see this and know that actually it doesn't matter if they're bald, whether they're curvy, whether they're skinny, whether they're athletic. Every woman, every guy should just feel accepted. We shouldn't have to be brave and put on a brave face. We should just feel like, bald is beautiful. I am proud of being a bald female. I'm proud of affecting the world and having a small dent to hopefully for other females to see that, or young girls, right, to see that they can be bald and they can be strong and it's okay to be themselves.
And not even just bald, like that's obviously quite specific, but just different. You can be different and still be beautiful. You haven't got to look like a Margot Robbie or a Beyonce. You can just be yourself. And what I love about you, Fish, well, one of the many things I love about you is I love your fashion sense. Now, I can never pull it off. But what I love about
Michael
you
Jackson's
is
shoes on.
you You've always got something quirky on. And what I like about you, you said you mentioned, and I went when you said it, and I thought that's not the fish that I know. But you mentioned like when you go on a plane, you hide, have your hood up and stuff. But the fish I know, you wear eccentric clothes and you stand out. And bald man, woman, whatever, if you walk past, you're a double taker, not because of anything other than your fashion sense. It's almost like you want eyeballs to look at you. And it's the opposite of hiding. You're like, hey, it's me, look at me. And I like that. You're not hiding from anything, you know. Make sense what I'm saying?
Says the man who went out dressed as Tina Turner.
Oh, yeah, listen then. Because going back to what I said a minute ago, I was actually going to say, I don't mind dressing as women. I've done it many times. I like dressing.
He had quite good legs, didn't he? He had quite good legs. And he wore flats.
I don't walk flats. But yeah, I'm as I mentioned,
subject.
I'm very, very comfortable in my sexuality. I can dress as Tina Turner. But yeah, no, you don't hide. I don't think you do hide. Or do you hide?
I do hide.
You do hide.
Yeah, I do hide.
But you don't. And again, I'm just asking questions here. I want to. You don't wear clothes like you hide. You don't fit in.
But I don't choose to go. Oh, I'm gonna stand out. I don't choose to wear the shoes because they're different and I wear something different. So people look at my shoes. I just think, they're really cool shoes. I'll wear those shoes.
And well, that's the cool thing because But when I think hiding's when the most boring. The boring, most obvious thing to where we just kind of fit into society. But you stand out.
I've never really fitted in, Ant. I've never really fitted in. Even in like rugby, like you said about boxing, I've never really fit into rugby because I came from like a more of an athlete background because of bobsleigh and rowing. So I've never really fitted in, but I've never tried to stand out. My coaches always had an issue because they're like, Fish, you always have to be different. I was that player, when they said, Fish, stand on a cone, I would bring the cone to me and make my own stance of where the cone was. They're like, Fish, no, we meant go and stand on a cone. I'm like, right. So I've always been...
You told me that last week. That's so weird. That's so strange to me. You went and got a cone and brought it to you rather than going over to the cone. So you're walking double.
No, so I was stood, right? And they went, Fish, stand on a cone. And there was a pile of cones. I grabbed the cone, put the cone down. I'm stood on the cone. What's wrong with my...
But they meant go and stand on where the cone is.
Yeah. And it was totally like... I didn't mean to, and I misinterpreted, right? But that's the way I interpret information. Like, I don't know. Like, I do feel like I interpret information differently, but I've had to embrace. I wasn't potentially who I am now when I was playing for England. When I had my hair, I was boisterous. I fitted in because nothing was different about me. I had hair, and I knew who I was, and everyone. I was different when I lost my hair. And it took a massive chunk of my personality, and maybe potentially I tried to make up for it and being this big, strong, boisterous character. But actually that wasn't really me. But if someone didn't take the time to understand me, and like my coach said, I'd be like, well, screw you. If you want to get to know me, you'll get to know me in your own time, and it's your loss, not mine.